Porsche took the lead in the International Series 2-1. Monza, a magic name in autosports, the classic stretch for the Italian Grand Prix. The Autodrome, built in the 20s, was now the scene of the fourth run for the Manufacturers' Championship, a 1,000-kilometer race for sports cars, prototypes, and Gran Turismo vehicles. Porsche was on its rival's home ground, Monza, where Ferrari experiments and test drives its cars. It's an indication of how important this race was to Ferrari that they hired John Surtees and Chris Amon to drive the 5-liter sports car. At the start, a Ferrari was running neck and neck with a Porsche, a sign that the practice times were very close. In the first laps of this 1,000-kilometer race, the Porsche and Ferrari stayed even with each other, driven as in a Grand Prix. Along Monza's 3.57-mile course, there are 3 curves which are only half fast. The first Lesmo, the second Lesmo, and the Parabolica, which the driver must enter at only about 81 miles per hour before emptying again into the straightaway. For the first time, Porsche installed a larger engine in the 917, a 4.9-liter power plant that gave it 570 horsepower. Elfert and Ahrens were driving that car. And in the 62nd lap, Elfert set a new lap record of 1.248. That's an average of 152.5 miles per hour, faster even than the Grand Prix car. Rodriguez and Kinnunen were just ahead of the best Ferrari, with Giunti and Vaccarella driving. Siffert had been forced out on the 11th lap, accidentally cut off by a driver in a 908, who didn't realize that the lead group had caught up with him again so quickly. Siffert avoided a collision, but damaged his front suspension and had to give up. In the 92nd lap, Ahrens was out in the lead with his 4.9-liter when his tire blew in the Curva Grande. He was able to hold his car on the track, but for him the race was over. But Rodriguez came through for Porsche, winning the 1,000-kilometer race at Monza with a spectacular total average of 142.5 miles per hour. He finished in front of 3 Ferraris and 2 Matras. His victory gave Porsche a 3-1 lead in the Manufacturers' World Championship. The next race was over the Targa Florio course, which runs through the mountains of Sicily. The 45-mile track is very hard to memorize. The course runs through the countryside and through several villages. It is the last genuine street race left in the world. Porsche had developed a completely new car for Targa Florio because the large 917 was too long and too heavy for the narrow curves. It would be too difficult to keep all that horsepower on the road. So Porsche constructed a new version of the 908, keeping the 360 horsepower 3-liter engine, but introducing a new chassis. The driver sat closer to the front than before, his feet over the front axle. The motor was also moved forward. What the technicians kept secret was the light weight of the car, which made it more maneuverable than ever. Winning the Targa Florio is a Porsche tradition. Porsche scored its first victory on the Sicilian course back in 1922, when the small Austro-Daimler Sascha race car, built by the late Ferdinand Porsche Sr., won the 1100cc class. Porsche sports cars have taken part in this race since 1956. The course through the Sicilian mountains is mostly curves. It was only in 1961 that the fastest and strongest cars were able to achieve an average speed of 62.5 miles per hour. Today, with improved road conditions, they can reach 75 to 78 miles per hour. There is a 3-mile straightaway along the sea, but for the most part the driving is up and down from curve to curve. Passing is no cinch. While the race is in progress, people in the villages through which the course runs must lock up their goats and donkeys and household pets. This year, to make sure that the race would last at least 6 hours, the course was lengthened to 11 45-mile laps. Siffert and Redman won this year's race with their new Type 9083, Porsche's 10th victory at Targa Florio since 1956. Kinnunen, in the second John Wyer car, took second place, achieving a remarkable lap record, averaging 80 miles per hour at the end. The best Ferrari, driven by Vaccarella and Giunti, finished third. Fourth and fifth places were taken by Porsches. In the 2-liter class, the GT winners were two private Italian drivers, Marchile and Castro, in a Porsche 911. Spa is even faster than Monza. This Belgian race requires exceptional skill and courage on the part of the driver. It was still raining just before the start of the race, and that meant that last-minute decisions had to be made whether to drive with rain tires or not. Changes were ordered, in some cases a few seconds before the start of the race. John Wyer decided to start the 6th event of the manufacturer's World Championship with a Board 4.9-liter engine. Things looked good for Porsche. Two Porsche drivers, Rodriguez and Siffert, had the fastest practice times. Then Ferrari's Jackie X. Then, surprisingly, the 917 driven by Kellines and Neuhaus of the Gezipa team, which still had the 4.5-liter engine. The two Gulf Porsches took an immediate lead, staying out in front only 1 yard apart. Jackie X in his red Ferrari kept pace with the lead drivers, moving into second place from time to time. The course at Spa is 9 miles long. It has a difficult hairpin curve called La Source, where drivers have to shift down to first gear. There is an S-curve after the starting line, which can be taken only at half speed. But there are plenty of other curves that can be taken almost flat out.
Bleiben Sie bitte, wo Sie sind. Okay, nicht weiter, no further.
There was plenty of action in the pits. Siffert lost over half a minute during a fuel stop when the high-speed filler pump malfunctioned, leaving Rodriguez in a battle for first place with the Ferrari. In the 22nd lap, Rodriguez's tire was damaged, and the Ferrari held that lead until Siffert and Redman caught up. John Surtees, relieving X in the Ferrari, was unable to keep up the pace. Redman overtook him and took a commanding lead. An electrical failure forced Rodriguez and Kinnunen out of the race, but not before Rodriguez set a new lap record of 3:16.5, an average of 160.4 miles per hour. It was the fastest lap of the season. The Siffert-Redman team maintained its lead and won the race. The Ferrari came in second. In third place was Salzburg's 917 Porsche, driven by Elfert and Ahrens, followed by another Ferrari. Two more 917 finished fifth and sixth. The GT winner was a 911, driven by the Swiss team of Haldi and Chanvier. After 6 races in the World Championship, Porsche led 5-1.